everybody. Welcome to the first USAC Midwest Thunder Midget Monthly. Here to help steer the ship will be race director and co-owner of the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets, Greg Watson, and last year's third place points finisher and the 2024 Mike Streicher Memorial winner, Jakeb Boxell. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Josh.
Hey.
So this is an idea that Greg and I had. We discussed. He approached me about it. Honored to be a part of this. Greg, what kind of had you with this idea to get this monthly update started?
Well, I think it all goes along the lines of us trying to put our series out there following what we feel is industry best practices, so that, we might not be the biggest or the most famous organization, but we can learn from what all of them are doing and try and replicate that within our organization to make it a better experience for our drivers like Jakeb and the others, for our fans, and for the track partners and sponsor partners that we have. So I am a big fan of podcasts, listen to yours, obviously, as well as Dale Jr.'s and, a bunch of others. And I learn a lot from them that I wouldn't have otherwise probably had that opportunity to learn. So I'm hoping that we can take what we're doing, work with you, put it out there on your podcast, and continue to grow the number of people that are following our series and understand what we're all about.
So before we jump into Jakeb's story in the upcoming races, especially a big one here, Greg, can you give us a few updates on the series?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. I think we've got a couple of big things, in my opinion, that have come together here really right before the series, before our schedule starts. One of the things I think a lot of folks that follow our series know is that last year we brought in our own traveling announcer, Christian Dunn. Christian was a great addition to our series, really helped get our story out there, understood what we were all about, and, just did a great job connecting with the fans and with the tracks. So going into this year, my partner, Chuck Taylor, and I were trying to think of ways, how do we continue along those same lines to improve the series? And to make a long story short, coincidentally, we had a guy reach out to us who had moved here from the West Coast, had some race director experience, expressed interest in working with our series. We had some conversations. To no surprise to me or Chuck, he was interested in being compensated for his time and his efforts, whereas Christian has always been a volunteer for our series in the past year. So we had some conversations around how do we take what we're doing today and find a way to generate some revenue that we could pass along to these folks that are making our program better. And we didn't want to take anything away from the drivers and the points championship money and so forth. As I think I've told you before, Josh, Chuck and I do this. We don't take anything out of it. The idea is kind of a break even at the end of the year. Any money left over after expenses goes back to the drivers and the points fund. So we didn't want to reduce that. We did want to step up our professionalism. And so we had the idea of purchasing our own transponders, because our guys are, renting the transponders at the track today. So the idea was kind of taking the money that they were already spending, and instead of, spending it at the racetrack, they would rent them from us. And then we could take the revenue from the transponders and pass that through to the race director and to the announcer. Unfortunately, we weren't able to come to terms with the gentleman that expressed interest, but in conversations with Randy Lucius, who works at UNOH, University of Northwestern Ohio, he thought that this timing might be good to reach out to the school and see if we could put together a program that would allow some interested students to step up and volunteer as assistant race directors for us throughout the season. So we ended up having 10 students that expressed interest. Randy and I went through interviews, and we were able to get together with 5 of the students that express interest, and they're going to support us throughout the year. So taking those transponder revenues, sharing those to help offset Christian and the race director's expenses. And in the course of working with our supplier for the transponders, he got us connected with the right folks at My Race Pass, which I think we've all used, on that computer in our pocket to keep track of race results on race night. And I really had no idea just all the capabilities that were there. But once we sat down with My Race Pass folks, realized that a lot of the work for setups, lineups, race results, qualifying times, we were able to take much greater control of that if we subscribed as a race series to the My Race Pass program. And I'm excited. I think it kind of takes it to the next level in terms of really having everything out there, not only for the fan who's not able to be at the racetrack, perhaps, but also for our drivers to have that information come up much more quickly than they have before. So no waiting around by the whiteboard, hoping somebody's got lineups so they can know where they're going to start and what heat they're in and all that kind of stuff. We can get that information out a lot quicker. So those two things, really excited. And then we've got some sponsorship things that I'm just think are going to be a great addition. So I'm looking at my notes, make sure I don't screw any of this up. But we got the Millstream race coming up this year. And we've worked with a company out of the Findlay area, Heitmeyer Construction. Kyle has sponsored a number of drivers, Luke Hall in our series, as well as some non-wing 410 sprint car stuff. Kyle and his team at Heitmeyer Construction have agreed to sponsor all three of our Millstream races so that we're able to offer $1,000 purse for each of them, $1,000 to win, $150 to start at each of those races. So really happy about that. Longtime hard charger sponsor, PPC, Performance Powder Coating, out of Russia, Ohio, has increased their participation this year. They're excited about the fact that we're supporting the All-Star Speed Week races. So we'll be at Millstream on the Sunday, Waynesfield on Thursday, and then down to Atomic on the Saturday. So they put up some additional funds, and we're going to have a Speed Week challenge. It's kind of a points deal within the rest of the points series, but it'll provide points for A main wins, but also B main wins, for heat race wins, for the quick time, for the hard charge. And we'll add all those up at the end of the week. And then the top 3 points, getters, whatever is the right word there. Those folks will make some extra money out of the PPC funds that they've set aside for that. So pretty cool. We're also going to do a barrel of alcohol giveaway, not drinking alcohol, the alky for the race cars, just to be clear. But company down in Gallipolis, Ohio, which I can pronounce because I'm from there, but I'm afraid I'm mispronouncing their business name, but I believe it's Burley Performance Products out of Gallipolis, who is a VP Racing Fuels distributor. They've actually given us several barrels to use as giveaways this year. So everybody that runs in all 3 of the All-Star Speed Week races will be in a raffle that will be at Atomic Speedway on that last night on the Dean Niddle Memorial Race. And somebody will go home with 55-gallon barrel of race fuel worth about $300. So excited about that one. A lot of people have been talking about the Link chassis on the USAC national level. And Link Chassis has agreed to provide us with a $2,500 gift certificate at the end of the season. So also a raffle among everybody that participates throughout the season. The top 15 drivers will be eligible to win that $25 gift certificate. So some pretty cool stuff with some new sponsors to be combined with all of the great sponsors that have supported us for a number of years now.
Yeah. And Jakeb, Greg and I have talked in the past, and I know how family oriented the series is. And every year they're trying to do things to keep the drivers and teams happy. What do moves like this for your team? What does that do for you?
Honestly, I think everything that Greg just said and everything coming together for the 2025 season is great. The Speed Week sponsor for fuel for the 55 gallons, like Greg said, $300 worth of it, and that'll last you half a season if you're doing it all with one car. So some people like fans and stuff don't understand how much that actually benefits the smaller teams and most of the teams in our series. And when I seen the Link chassis give it away for the or 2,500 off for the top 15 in points, that's huge. I think for anyone, even new people that run the newer frames or older style stealths or anything in between. It's just a super good opportunity for someone to get, like Greg said, a national level frame that most people are switching to on national side.
And it's good to see, the series looking out for the teams and the drivers and understanding that they need their support. And I appreciate, Greg, what you and Chuck do every year to try and help give back. And I think this is just another way of showing how you're trying to stay with the times and take care of your teams and drivers.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, we're moving up to what's going to be the start of your season. Also, the biggest race, or one of the biggest races of the season for the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets, the Mike Streicher Memorial. For those who don't know, Mike Streicher was the 1991 USAC National Midget Champion and won the USAC National Midget Championship not only as a driver, but also as a car owner, mechanic, and car builder. Mike was inducted into the National Midget Hall of Fame in 2019. Past winners of this race in 2021, the first was Stratton Briggs. 2022, Bryce Massengill. 2023, Zach Weigel. And in 2024, and looking to be the defending champion, Jakeb Boxell. That was your first career win as well in a midget after multiple runner-up finishes. What is it like to win that race?
So yeah, kind of how we were talking before we went live and stuff. It's definitely one of our bigger races, being his memorial race and just what his impact was on midget racing today and still back then for everything that he's done. We're right next door to Mike Fedorchak and them two go way back. So when he was pretty cool and came over the shop and stuff after we won that race, and just a lot of people were super happy that we finally broke through. I think it was 8 second place finishes and until we finally got our first one, and like I said, it was pretty cool to get our first one close to home and that memorial race. It just meant a lot.
Yeah, from last lap Rex to 4 wide racing for the lead, the Mike Streicher Memorial never disappoints. The 5th annual Mike Streicher Memorial is going to be run this Friday, May 9th at Limeland Motorsports Park. Greg, why don't you give us some back history on how this all came about?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm one of those strong believers in somebody is never really gone until no one mentions their name any longer, right? So I think a lot of us have different stories about Mike over the years. I know personally, I first met Mike when my sons were racing quarter midgets. And at that time, he had retired from driving, but he was a really strong influence on so many, I hate to say kids, but it's quarter midgets. So young people's racing experience through that. So the Hawk chassis company that he founded and used to build midgets also built quarter midgets, and a number of our drivers, Josh Yinzer comes to mind, Gunnar Lucius, drove Hawk chassis and interacted with Mike on a regular basis and learned a lot about what it meant to be a race car driver from Mike during the time, when they were as young as 5 years old. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, what he accomplished, he and his family, winning the championship. They're the last true family team to win the USAC National Championship. So just amazing that a small team out of a tiny garage in Findlay, Ohio, traveled all over the country and ended up winning the national championship that year. But then he went on, as well as continuing to run that business, but also became an instructor at UNOH. And just amazing the conversations, I've had with people, students that attended UNOH, and they all seem to have their Mike Streicher story and the impact that he had on them, and the opportunity that they had to learn under him. It was something that they really appreciated. So it just felt like all the pieces came together well for this. Maybe some of our listeners don't know, there is a memorial scholarship at Lima, at UNOH, in Mike's name, to help other students have the opportunity to get that STEM education that UNOH provides. And that's a passion of mine. I think we do a disservice to a lot of kids to not really encourage them to look at the technical education that's available at a place like UNOH. And of course, for all of us with our interest in racing, the fact that they have that high performance program is just so cool. And I personally know of some people that have been through that program and moved on and continue in all forms of racing. And some, in fact, a friend of mine ultimately ended up down in Charlotte working for Keselowski. So just really cool program that they have. And so we wanted to start the race, draw attention to the sponsorship, encourage people to continue to support that over the years. You know how those things start big and kind of fade away a little bit. We were trying to bring that back a bit, but more than anything else, just continue to remind people that, we had a USAC national champion who lived here in the Midwest, in northwestern Ohio, that, was a great guy and had an impact on a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, it's great that you guys are doing that. And like I explained, the racing, it's one of your bigger races of the season, and the racing has not disappointed when it comes to that. Jakeb, you've got more than 50 karting victories, multiple championships, including a restricted micro title. Your driver always looking to compete. And like we said, last year's Mike Streicher Memorial winner. Again, you talked about it briefly, but what is it like battling for that win? The competition in those races I've seen is just off the charts. And what does that race mean extra to the guys out there?
Yeah, the biggest thing was Lima has kind of replaced the old Gas City. You may know, like, the old car counts and stuff. We would get a bunch of car counts when we would go to Gas City, or these more closer tracks for the Indiana people, and we had a good car count and stuff for Lima. I think that was our first race of the season with a B main, and being able to roll out of the box after the weekend prior to that, when we had to pull the backup car out and stuff, and thrashed all week. It was putting a car together in 6 days, and being able to go out and win the heat race, and redraw the fourth spot and get a good position to win the feature. And when we were there, we were able to conquer that and complete, finally being able to get that after all them runner-up spots.
Let's dive a little bit more into where did you get started in racing? I know your dad had a big hand in you being in karts. Like, just start from when you first got involved in racing into now. How has that all transpired?
So on my fourth birthday, um, I had no clue about it, obviously, and I walked outside of my front porch, and my dad, Grandpa Chris, and Grandpa Dick, they went out to Chicago, I believe, and picked up a kid cart, which is a go kart just for the kid class, and then ran at Barrett Field, which is maybe 5 miles down the road from me, and on their pavement track that they had, and then finally outgrew that and was like, well, let's try a bigger step and see if we're still as competitive, and ended up getting into the junior classes and then the junior buggy classes. So, and was able to pick up some more victories, and then finally realized like we may have a shot to actually do this racing thing. And a few years past, ran karts for more years, and then I got a call from Ricky Dukes out in Kokomo, Indiana, and watched me race go-karts. He raced go-karts with a bunch of big names back in the day, and actually got a junior sprint for him and his kid. And for a couple races, he was going to let me run a junior sprint, and I think I ran 7 or 8. I think it was 7 races, and I won 6 of the 7 and finished second in one of them. And then we were like, yeah, like I think we may have something here. And he went out, bought a restrictor for me, still raced for him for another 2, 3 years. Won that restrictor championship at Peru by 1 point, and then parted ways. And then in 2019, we started our family team with our own micro, and ran it for another 2 years, and then ended up running a D2 for Todd and Ian Krieger at Peru, and ran good with that. We liked them. Got us more familiar with the bigger car stuff. Sold our micro later that year, and we sit with 2 race-ready D2 cars now in 2025.
So how has it been? You talk about your dad being involved, and a lot of times we see that the family teams, and it's just a different way to experience life. Uh, it's got to be awesome having your dad help you out with this.
Yeah, definitely. The support that my dad, both my grandpas and my grandma, that we have been able to do our family car for this long and have the equipment that we do. I'm definitely blessed with the equipment and how we run and stuff week in and week out to be able to continue to do this year after year and still be as competitive as we are.
You've got a lot of experience. I know you've started kind of moving your seat into different cars. You've got experience racing at the Rumble as well as out Eldora Speedway. Just talk about the experience and how you feel that has helped you moving forward.
The biggest thing that I think it is um, the finishes and stuff. Everyone will look up results of your name and seeing how well you finished, and making sure you're not DNFing or anything like that will get you a lot more phone calls to your phone. And um, in that case, like you said, getting my seat into sprint cars now, and then some national midgets is, and then good runs. So we went out to Port City and Creek County in Oklahoma, I think about 2 months ago now, with Four Kings Racing, and Matt Westfall runs that team, and uh, 2 top 10s out of that, and a 16th at Creek County with 45 plus cars all 3 nights was pretty big. And then again, with the sprint car stuff, it's just seat time is the biggest key in racing. Off seasons, I truly think it hurts people to that doesn't race go-karts or race anything during the off season, for me to get back in a go-kart at the Rumble like I did last year, and be able to keep my reaction time and all my keys to a T and stuff. Getting back into the outdoor season is just a little bit more prepared than some drivers, I believe.
Yeah, in 2023, you won the DARF Up and Coming Drivers Award, and in 2024, 8 top 5 finishes with the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets, 4 quick time awards, third in points. And I know a couple of the last races you guys weren't able to get in. You were only 34 points back from the eventual champion Bryce Massengill. Really a log jam there in points, which shows just how competitive the USAC Midwest Thunder Midget Series is. And like you mentioned, besides the midgets, you got your seat in a national midget as well as a sprint car. So, what kind of impact does Matt Westfall? What kind of impact has he had on your career?
So I think Matt Westfall it's really big for what he does, or yeah, what he does for me and helping me in my racing career. It's a great mentor, great boss to have. Being able to go to the shop, work on the Silver Crown, the sprint car, and the midget stuff to get me my own knowledge ready and try more things that some of the D2 guys haven't seen yet, and then in that case, know maybe what we should change that most teams may not know what to change, just being around a lot, being around race cars more and going to a lot more racetracks. So definitely being close to Matt Westfall's dad and being able to go to all these teams and or not all these teams, but all these races to be able to learn and have notebooks from their cars to my cars and kind of putting them together so he can help me. And actually, I think Matt is going to come to Lima Lane this Friday to actually come and help me and kind of get our team set, kind of like the national stuff.
Oh, you got to defend that title, that's for sure. So you talked about it a little bit, but 2025, what does 2025 look like for Jakeb Boxell?
So at the start of 2025, I signed with Chase Howard Racing in the sprint car for War and Power I, and ran a race already, and they've had just as many rainouts as it seems the D2s have. But I sat down and midget. To me, midget racing is probably my main focus right now. We had, like you said, we were only 30 some points away from Bryce in the championship last year, and we kind of just figured out our program and kind of set it to the side to go run sprint cars. It was good to go do that, and I still will have a handful of races to go run that sprint car, but just being able to be on a full-time basis of that just wasn't in my playing cards this year, and I truly think the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets is the best thing in the Midwest right now, competition-wise, price-wise, and everything. It's just, to me, you can go to the racetrack with them and there could be 15 different winners. It doesn't matter. It's the competition. Like when USAC makes our posts and stuff, and you go back and look at the lineups, and it's like the names you read and stuff. So I think me focusing on winning a D2 championship will be a lot for my career and trying to be able to get my name on the banners and stuff. And some more info to be released for my 2025 season that I'm not able to post right now, but it kind of goes back to Matt being my boss. So you could take that as you wish and put something together there, and maybe you could figure that out.
I can appreciate that, and like you guys both, Jakeb and Greg, have touched on just how competitive the USAC Midwest Thunder Midget Series is, and I expect no less at the start of this season with the Mike Streicher Memorial. Gentlemen, before we wrap this up, I got to ask you. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Greg, we'll go with you first. This weekend, what is it that you're looking at for the series from your standpoint?
A lot of things going through my mind for that, right? So let's get one under our belt, right? So you do all that work, all of us, Chuck and I putting together the details of the series, the drivers, like, Jakeb and his dad and his grandfathers and grandmother. A lot of work went into everything, and now we're just kind of in this, let's go. So I want to get out there. I have always enjoyed our visits to Lima Land. I actually raced there back in the 90s. So in some ways, unfinished business there at Lima, but they were one of the first tracks that gave us the opportunity when this series first started back in 2016, back when Gene Frankert was still, I don't know, title if he was promoter or exactly what, but Gene was someone I knew from when I raced back in the 90s, and he gave us the chance to come out there, and we got off to a good start at Lima Land. So there's several home tracks in my mind for this series. Certainly Mount Pillier is one, because of all the opportunities we had to grow there. And we were all excited to kick off the season in Montpelier, and then the rains came and we were on hold for a week. And then last week would have been our first 1,000 to Win show of the season at Fremont, which to me is a historic, amazing track. And I love all the things that Rich Farmer is doing at Fremont with the All-Stars, and now with Waynesfield as well. I mean, he stepped in the 11th and a half hour and saved that. So was excited to go to Fremont, put on a good show for Rich, and then it rained, and then we didn't get to do that. So fingers crossed this weekend, going back to Lima, honoring Mike. And in a way, I mean, we probably would have been at Waynesfield on Saturday had things worked out differently and Larry not retired. But when that all came about, and the Cogleys were interested in picking us up on Saturday, it kind of felt full circle, right? You know, Mike worked at UNOH in Lima, but the family shop was in Findlay. So here we are, you know, the whole weekend kind of has some Mike Streicher vibes to it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend, and I myself am hoping to attend both of those races. So I can't wait. Jakeb, I got to know that your answer is to defend that title. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, the main thing is I think I'm tired of cleaning the dust off my cars. Like Drake said, I don't think I've ever wiped down my car so much just because they're dusty. So, definitely going and defending this race, like you said, and this whole time it's a big race for the D2s and stuff, but then also you got to set that aside, and we have a doubleheader this weekend, so we're not just starting off our first race, we're starting off our first race with two races back to back. So you have to be prepared for that one, and I think that's the bigger thing than being prepared. I think we're all prepared for Lima Land, like we've been waiting all winter long, and these past 3 weeks, like people's been prepared. So I'm not having a doubt that anyone's not ready for Lima. To me, I think people may not be ready for our first doubleheader since it will be our first race of the season. Everyone's gonna be at Lima, kind of being slow and stuff. Everyone's excited to see each other again, and then bang, we're right back at the track the next night, which to me is I love. I love doubleheader racing. Working for Four Kings and stuff. I love Midget Week. That's just my favorite thing. If I could go watch a race every day of the week for 365 days, I would try to make all of them races. So I love being at the racetrack. I love doubleheader weekend. So I'm really looking forward for this weekend. And I haven't checked the weather, and I don't want to because I know we'll be good, and I hope we will be able to be at Lima Friday.
Yeah, I can't say that I've checked the weather either, but I plan on being at the track Friday and Saturday, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Definitely.
Well, let me jump in there for a second, Josh, because there's just something going through my mind that I wanted to share. So I actually met Matt Westfall back in the early 90s when he was racing micros down at the original 35 Raceway. And I don't know how old he was at that point, but Matt had to be teens, maybe early teens. So I kind of watched his career, and I've always felt that Matt was a bit of a throwback, right? Often running for a family team, did the work himself. He's a welder. He's the mechanic. He makes it all happen. And I see some parallels with Jakeb. You know, when we were talking about who do we invite, a lot of guys we want to get on the show throughout the year. But Jakeb really came to mind for me, one, because he was the Streicher champion from last year, but also because I really admire the way he approaches all of this. And I think what really kind of made that hit home for me was last year when we were racing at Ohio Valley Speedway down on the river in southern Ohio outside of Parkersburg. We kind of set it up as a bit of a social weekend. We're going to go down and race on Friday. We're all going to hang out thanks to the Weigels hospitality for the weekend at their riverfront house and do some boating and all that sort of thing. So everybody's enjoying a day in the sun. And Jakeb opens up his trailer and rolls the Midget out, right? And I was impressed. You know, we didn't have a race that night, but he's doing his post-race maintenance taking care of the car. But what really got me more than anything was it was like his hands already knew what they needed to do. He was just going through something that it was so obvious he's done so many times before. It's almost like kind of an old soul attachment artist kind of thing. It's like I was standing there watching him from a distance, like, man, this he's obviously taking care of his own cars. He obviously knows exactly what he needs to do, and just the calmness and the patience and the knowledge that he was exhibiting really impressed me, because I compared that to the guy that I know on the racetrack who is one of those up on the cushions selling t-shirts, putting on a hell of an exciting show for everybody. So it's this great combination that I think really serves him well. So yeah, like I said, Matt's paid his way, earned his way, and has accomplished tremendous things. I'm supposed to be unbiased, right? And, and I would argue I am, but it doesn't mean I can't enjoy when something happens like Jakeb's win last year at the Streicher race. I think everybody in our series was glad to see that happen. And I do think it says a lot for the series that Jakeb could go a lot of places, and I think he would dominate a lot of series right now. But he's running with us against an extremely high caliber of competition, and he's extremely competitive, obviously one of our top runners. He's not dominating here, but I'm confident at some point he's going to go off just like the Jakeb Denny's of the world have done, and others, and demonstrate that if you have what it takes to win in our series, you're going to be able to deliver at the next level.
I'll step in here after that. I really appreciate those words, Greg. It means a lot, and you and a bunch of other people see the side, like you said, at maintaining the car while everyone's having a day off and stuff. The job's never finished. We're always getting ready for the next race here with the BMR team. I have great people behind me, and that goes from my family to my partners and everybody all in a full circle. So definitely being able to have the knowledge and being able to have what I have and to do what I do is definitely the tops stuff to me, and definitely blessed to be able to do it another year with the competition we have with the D2 series.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Jakeb. And we're appreciative that you and your family are a part of our series. You certainly make it better, and looking forward to see what you accomplish from here.
I think we all are, and same as our team to everybody else's team. Everybody had an off season. Everyone pulled their notebooks out and changed some things. So I'm definitely as eager to see what other people changed during the off season as well as what we did to seeing other changes for the more competition we have. To see, I know we have some new drivers and stuff, so definitely just ready to get to the first race and see all of our friends again and hang out and have a good time. That's the main thing, and I think that's the biggest thing about the D2 series. Everyone's is at the end of the day, it don't matter who won. We're all happy for them, and we're all friends.
Exactly.
The skills of the drivers in the series, the racing that you guys put on, and the stories that you guys share about the series, that, in my opinion, just sets it apart from anything and everything else. It's a reason why you should get to the track. You should check out the USAC Midwest Thunder Midgets. And we're going to wrap up the first episode of USAC Midwest Thunder Midget Monthly with races to come this Friday, May 9th at Limeland, the Mike Streicher Memorial. Saturday, May 10th at Millstream, you're running with Fast. Saturday, May 17th, the Big E, the half mile at Eldora. Thursday, May 22nd at Circle City with the USAC Sprints. Friday, May 30th at Moeller Raceway. Saturday, June 7th at Atomic. And Friday, June 13th at Limeland. More racing to come than that, folks. We're just getting started. Until next time, we hope to see you guys at the track.